day, everyone. Today I have the pleasure of chatting with Janette McDonald. And how lucky am I that Janette is actually my yoga teacher here in Gorey. And my partner and I have been going to yoga with Janette for about 9 months now. We've been going to 2 classes a week. And, yoga is something I've dabbled with on and off throughout my life. But this last 9 months has been probably the most consistent I've been with the practice. And I would definitely credit that in large part to Janette. So, Janette, thank you for being here today. Now, before we get started, let's just, put our cards on the table. Let's be really honest. Of all the students you have at the moment, I am the best, aren't I?
Yeah, absolutely. The best and my favourite, definitely.
Oh, I'm glad you said that because I was thinking it, you were thinking it, we've all been thinking it, we're afraid to say it.
And I don't say that to every single person at all.
Yeah, it's just me, I'm special, yeah. Oh, if only that was the truth. I'm stiff, I'm in my 50s now, I'm getting stiffer, but thank God I found your yoga class because you've been at it now about 20 years now.
I have, yes. Yeah. I've been teaching for about 18 years here in Gorey, and I've been practising for over 24 years. Yeah. 25 years, I think, actually practising yoga now. So it was something I had wondered about. I knew I liked the thought of it. Mm-hmm. But I didn't actually know what it was, even though I thought it might have been something to do with meditation. I'd been to a Buddhist centre once when I was younger, and I was kind of interested in that, and I thought, I like the idea of it. So I started going to yoga in the Holistic Centre back in 1999. Right. So, loved it from day one. Yeah. And after about 5 years, decided to do the teacher training. Yeah. So, and then that was 4 years of teacher training. But after 2 years, you can actually teach. It's a really good teacher training I done with the Irish Yoga Association. Yeah. Which is the 4-year teacher training. Right. About 700 hours. Wow. So it was the best experience I've ever had. It was absolutely great teachers and really amazing course and really comprehensive. Yeah. Because I think a lot of people, when they started the course would be, including myself, would be like, they might have wanted to deepen their practice, but am I actually going to be able to stand up in front of people and teach yoga? Yeah. And because I think the first 2 years, you're learning more about yourself and your practice and how to teach, then the next 2 years you're actually teaching, and you've still got the classes, you've still got your course to fall back on. Yeah. So for me that was amazing, because it gave me the confidence then if I could go back and ask questions. I felt like I still had that support there. And in fact, the support there, that was 2004, I started the teacher training, and the support is still there. I still do courses every year with the Irish Yoga Association, and we meet up, and that support is ongoing. So for me, it's that's been fantastic. Yeah. Right.
And I hear that the Irish Yoga Association, it's really the gold standard of yoga training if anybody is interested in doing it.
It really is. I couldn't recommend it more. Anyone doing it, even if anyone's done any other, smaller courses or anything like that, I would highly recommend. Usually there's a new course that starts once every 2 years. Sometimes it's here in Gorey actually, and that's for the whole of Ireland. Yeah. And sometimes it's in Tullamore or Dublin or various places like that. I was in Tullamore when I done the teacher training. We used to go up to Tullamore. We met from all over Ireland there, and spent the weekend, which was brilliant. 3 children, so I was able to before I had the kids, I'd done the teacher training, so I was able to go and immerse myself in that as well. So fantastic course. Yeah.
Brilliant. Like we all know, exercise is so important for us. Motion is lotion. I love that phrase, and it's so true. But why would you say yoga in particular? Why should everybody do yoga?
Well, I think for me, probably I would give a different answer now than I'm going to give the answer for me how I felt when I started. I'd done, the gym, which was fine. I had done aerobics, done swimming, all of that kind of thing. And then when I started the yoga, doing the asana, doing the posture work with the breath, I felt amazing. I thought, I think it was the first time in my life I felt really, I guess, vital, but at the same time centered, and at the same time relaxed.
Yeah.
So it was that combination of everything where you're getting the exercise, and I think it was the first time I'd done anything like that, where the exercise was combined with the breath, and it changed, it changes how you feel.
Right.
So then I think most people, when they start yoga, and you'll probably agree, you're all about the physical, you're all about the asana. Am I doing this correctly? Is that foot meant to be there? What's that doing? I can't get that far,
Yeah.
And then you start sort of relaxing into it a bit more, and then you start to really connect with the breath. And that's when you really start to, I think, get to know yourself.
Yeah.
So there is a saying in yoga, yoga is a journey of the self, through the self, to the self. So the self means, and that comes from the Bhagavad Gita. So really it's about you getting to know yourself as in the person, as in, the physical body, the mind, the emotions, everything that comes with it, to get to know your true self. So the soul, or that little part of you that's, is the divine.
Yeah.
Or consciousness, that little part of you. So I think as you're practicing yoga more and more, you're going through these various layers that we all have. And in yoga, there's names for everything. We've got all these, we have the koshas in yoga that you probably heard me speak about before. It starts off with the physical body, which is the Annamaya kosha. So that's when we're doing our posture work. Also, this includes the food that we eat and what we're bringing into our body, so that physical aspect. And then it moves on to the pranayama kosha. So that's us with the breath. So that's us working with the energy body.
Yeah.
And
none of us know how to breathe. We're never taught. Sure, we're not. I've only discovered recently how you're actually supposed to breathe, and how important how you breathe is, and how important to the posture and everyday life.
Exactly. Well, I think when I started yoga at first and I started connecting with the breath, I think before I always thought, your emotions and how you're feeling affects your breath. And then it kind of occurred to me, hang on a minute, my breath, if I have control over the breath, even though it took me a while probably to realise this, that actually has a control over how I'm feeling. So in other words, you're not at the effect of the things that are happening all the time. You actually are starting to realise that you're the one in control of the ship. Yeah. So I think for me that's what really got me hooked. Yeah. That way that I think, I'm not just at the effect of whatever's happening in my life, because, we all have so much happening, some good, some bad, which we don't have control over. So in yoga, we have all these tools to bring us deeper and deeper, that way. Yeah. So with the koshas that I was just talking about there, you've got the pranayama kosha, and then that goes on to the manomaya kosha, which is the mind, the emotions and the mind. And then you go deeper to the intuition and wisdom, the Vijnanamaya kosha, to then connect with bliss. So with this discipline, it's like anything, the more disciplined you become in a practice through the physical, and then becoming more subtle as you're going, the more freedom you actually have in your body and in your mind and the emotions. So it just affects, everything. It enriches your life. I know for me, I can, this is just a lifelong study now. I'm hooked, just because you just go deeper and deeper with your practice. Yeah, I mean, you have a glow about you. Every time when I walk into the yoga room, there's just this presence, there's this glow, and it's something that you get a lot from yoga teachers. So that's a that's a good enough reason for me. You're very passionate about it, and I love the way you can explain to us why we're doing a certain posture, and what it's why it's good, and what's going to benefit and everything. So exactly, that's it. So as I say, really starting off, I think for most people when they come, they might realise usually there's a bit of apprehension there of, I'm not very flexible. And I think you'd said to me before last week or whatever, were you always good at, fit and flexible? Yeah. The answer is absolutely not.
Really? You don't, like, you never did gymnastics as a kid or
nothing.
Anything like that?
I was probably called, in Scotland, I would be called a big stiffy.
Oh.
And that means just very stiff, can't move, and not really good at sports, not really, as I was getting older, I'd done a little bit of gym work and things like that. Yeah. But I wouldn't have been good at sports or anything like that.
Could you do the splits when you were a child?
Not enough of it, no.
Can you do it now? Can you do them now?
No, I can nearly do it. I can do the wide leg version, the...
Yeah,
Pretty much. No, I'm 52 now, and I'm definitely, even though I'm, as I say, older than I've ever been, carrying more weight than I ever have, I'm definitely more flexible than I've ever been, and I feel definitely I can see now, I feel the best that I've ever felt through my practice, which is amazing.
That's amazing, because there's very few pursuits that we actually get better with age.
Exactly.
Usually, we reach a peak in our 20s or early 30s, and then as you get older, your ability fades off a bit. But with yoga, you can actually get better and better with each year.
And I think as well, especially the older you get, you realise, my body has changed. My practice has changed. I maybe have to adjust things slightly, but that's a good thing. You learn more about yourself through, things not being as easy as maybe they were, and that goes for things that happen in life as well. I think I've probably learned so much from even like the other practices as well. Things like the bandhas, the mudras. So the bandhas are locks that we hold in the body, that helps the energy when you have a lock that you're held in the body, like Mula Bandha, Jalandhara Bandha. These are locks that we can hold, and then when you release them, it helps the energy move through the body. And the mudras, so I think we've talked about the mudras before. These are the hand gestures that we've got different elements connected to the fingers, and when we have the hand in these different gestures, it directs the energy through the body in a very specific way. So for me, I didn't know as much about them, but I guess as I've gotten older and different things have been happening physically, particularly most recently after going through menopause, it really made me sort of dig deep and learned a few mudras that helped massively, because I was thinking, I'm doing my asana, doing my breath work, doing my meditation. I still at one stage was feeling quite anxious in the middle of the night, and then I added a mudra. I added Samjavani mudra, and heart palpitation stopped, and I thought, okay, there's something else that we can add. So it's and that's what I find with the practice. You listen to other teachers, you read, but I think really you try things out and see if it works.
Yes.
And I think that's the important thing. Different things are going to work for different people.
Yeah.
But I think that's what I like to do, is encourage everyone to try these things out and see if it's helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I had no idea that going to your class I'd be introduced to mudras. I didn't know what mudra meant.
Yeah.
I'd never practiced a mudra before. I vaguely might have been aware of it. So that's something now I'm going to test out for myself to see
exactly
when I'm trying, because let's face it, meditation is so difficult. It probably takes years for practice. Maybe it's easier for some than others, but I suppose even a small amount is better than no amount. And if a mudra can help that.
If a mudra can help direct, absolutely.
And it's amazing to think that your hands are just, your fingers are in a certain position, and that's actually, some people will go, oh, what are you on about? Like, that just doesn't make any sense. But let's just try it. Let's try and see.
Exactly.
And it's worked for you.
I think that's it. There's certain mudras that I know that there's a few I use all the time that I just feel, oh my, as soon as you have your hands in this position, like the Apaya Hridaya one that we do, the Fearless Heart Mudra, absolutely love. It's really just, feeling centred. And for me, that works for meditation, because I think when you start meditation, even though I'm really quite well versed in meditation now, still when you sit down, sometimes you're thinking, oh, I don't really feel that grounded. I need to gather my energy. You know, I want to feel a little bit more stable. So the mudras really help with that as well. It's, you know, as I say, as well as helping with physical, you know, things that are going on in the physical body as well. They really help with that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, the meditation, I think there's a couple of things that people say when they come. One is, oh my God, I'm not flexible. You know, I can't, I can't, and that doesn't matter. You do what you can. You stretch and you breathe the best you can, as I say. And most of the time, as you know, we're breathing in and out through the nose. And that's really because we're connecting with the parasympathetic nervous system, so a rest and response, a rest and digest. So it does what it says in the tin. It helps the body relax and digest and work effectively while we're working with the asana as well, so that your heart rate isn't going up and you're feeling anxious. You want to work as effectively as you can, but you want to be as relaxed as you can as well.
That's interesting. So a lot of people don't know that. If you're breathing through the mouth, compared to breathing through the nose, it's a big difference to your body actually thinks.
Physiologically, there's a big difference in breathing through the nose. When the air enters the nose, the little hairs in the nose get the breath, the right temperature, the right humidity as well, and it cleanses the breath as well.
It's amazing.
So when it enters the body, you don't have as much bacteria if there's colds and things going around.
Yeah.
And actually now there's a big movement on, probably a lot of people have heard, there's a big movement on in breathwork. They're discovering how important breathwork is. And in yoga we call that pranayama. So, and again, when you're breathing, so that's the breathing in through the nose. When you're breathing out through the nose, often we'll of course half close give a little constriction in the throat to do the ujjayi breath. And then that lengthens the breath. So that's when you're really slowing everything down and allowing the body to really open up for you and the nervous system. So when you're at that stage that and it's really worth anyone coming to yoga, you know, don't worry at all about the breath. It's something that comes naturally. You don't force it, you're just having a play around with it. And the more that you become friendly with the breath, you know, the body, the nervous system, everything is working more effectively for you. So it's definitely worth pursuing the breath work.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Of course, yogis have known this for centuries.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
I'm like, why did we not get taught these things as children in school?
I know, yeah.
You know, I would be so much more flexible now. I'd be able to do all your asanas. Asana is another word for posture. Yeah. But there's so many that I can't do, obviously. But I do my version of them, and you know. But even though I am the best student in the class, but I just wish I wish I did it as a kid.
I know, but it's funny. You're never too old. I mean,
that's true.
Because actually, you know, one of the most famous yoga teacher, Vanda Scaravelli. She was phenomenal, and some of what we do in class, I've taken inspiration from her, and she would have started yoga in her 40s. And when I started, I was 27, and I thought I was ancient. I thought, no, I'm chuckling away about that. I thought, I wish I'd started this, you know, when I was younger. Yeah. But it's absolutely, and my mum started yoga when I, you know, was doing teacher training and everything, and I was encouraging her. Her and her friends started yoga when they were, I think, in their 60s. Yeah. And they, you know, really get a lot out of it as well. Yeah. But I mean, that's the great thing about the chair yoga. Yes. Is, I've got a couple of chair yoga classes. In fact, I only started the first one about a year ago. And it was actually because one of my students who came for a one-on-one, because she was having a bit of back problems, hip problems, and she was saying, the sitting in the floor is a bit of an issue now. So I thought, I'll mess about and see what works. I'll do a bit of chair yoga. And she loved it. And I said, right, that's it. I'm going to just start a chair yoga class. So then that's really grown very quickly. I've now got 2 classes. And it's really for people that are either feeling that they're a bit unsteady in their feet, or there's issues with the knees or the hips, or they want that little bit of stability for the chair. So we still do, the posture work. We do everything that we do in the other class. We're just not on the floor.
Yeah.
We're using the chair and doing the breath work and the meditation and things like the chanting as well, which we do, in all of the other classes. So
yeah.
So I think that's making it so accessible, for everyone.
Absolutely, yeah. You're just modifying, what's
posture, modifying the postures we would do. And in fact, it's funny because sometimes I'll be like doing Trikonasana in the class that you would come to, and then afterwards I'll do Trikonasana using the chair, and it's quite strong. You still in any class, whether you're doing it in the regular way of using the mat or the chair, you work to your own capabilities. So you certainly don't want to hurt yourself. You want to be kind to yourself in that practice.
Yeah.
So it's a great thing to do for any age.
And knee joints are one of those things that really get people in old age, or, as you get older. I mean, my knees started to bother me in my 40s actually. But I would always lean on something if I do have to go on my knee. I'd always, lean on something.
And it's a case of having the awareness, because I think that's another great thing about the practice is because we're not, it's certainly the type of yoga I do anyway, it's very much based on Iyengar style. So in other words, we're working with the alignment and the breath and often using props. So it means that you've got the time to be in the posture and sort of assess how you're feeling. So often people will start and they're like, oh, my back's sore. They might know that somewhere in the background that they had a bad back, but didn't really know where it was coming from. And sometimes then when you're practicing yoga, you think, oh yeah, I can feel now where that stretches. And then you kind of learn often what you need to do to deal with that, that way. So, so
great, brilliant.
Yeah.
And in terms of the sort of the 8 limbs of yoga,
yes.
Pratyahara.
So we talked about the asana and the pranayama, the posture work and the breath work. There is of course 2 before that.
Oh, okay.
We don't really, the yamas and niyamas, and really these are like observances that we have. The yamas are 5 observances that we have in a relation to the world and those around us, things like non-violence, truthfulness, non-stealing, sexual continence, non-grasping. And then the niyamas is more related to ourself. So cleanliness, contentment, discipline, self-study. But then there's a surrender, the last one, surrender to our contemplation of a higher power. So it's really that in the 8 limbs, the philosophy really are the first 2 limbs.
Okay.
And then the pratyahara, you were saying we've got asana and pratyahara, asana and pranayama, sorry. So that's the posture work and the breath work.
What's your favourite posture?
Oh, do you know something? I think there's so many that I love. I love the twists because I think if I had to pick one, I love Trikonasana because we teach a triangle pose for anyone who uses English. Yeah. Because you can do it, anyone can do it really. You can use the chair, you can do the floor, you can use the wall. So I love that. I love the inversions. What's upside down. Things that we're doing at the moment, like Pinchmayurasana. I know you love that. Upside down.
What's the reason for doing those upside down poses?
The funny thing is, there are several reasons. Usually the inversions, one, they're actually restful for the heart. So they're very good for releasing the spine. When you're upside down, it's restful for the heart as well. Yeah. It's very strengthening, obviously, for your upper body. So because your upper body's holding you. In actual fact, even though they look a bit precarious, we usually, we use them props in the wall and things like that. Yeah. As you go older, it's really, if you can keep doing your yoga and manage to be upside down as you get older, it's absolutely fantastic. It's really, it's especially for hormone balancing, things like shoulder stand. It's called the Queen of Poses because it's so good for us girls as we get older for balancing hormones. But even like the stronger ones, even if it's like a half inversion that you've got some of the weight in the wall, it's like a bit of weightlifting. So it's helping to strengthen the bones as well as the muscles. So it's very good from that point of view as well.
Is there something about, I mean, this is just my, I must have seen this somewhere or could be completely wrong. Is there something about being upside down that does the blood's normally the other way because you're usually upright and standing. So when you're upside down, does the blood come back down to the heart and the brain?
It does.
And it's just something good about that, helping with circulation.
For the circulation as well, and the digestion, all of that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's it's very good.
Okay. Would I be right in saying that the most common posture would be the lotus one, the universally well known one?
Probably. Well, I don't know. No. I think most people in any class, I'm saying Trikonasana, the triangle pose is probably the one you would do in most classes.
Yeah.
And then lotus, very few people can even really do the lotus.
Properly.
Even us in class, we tend to do half when we're doing it.
Yeah, I definitely have to sit on something.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's like a half lotus, really.
Yeah, the half lotus. Yeah, that's the one people think about, but it's actually the sitting postures are actually quite tricky.
Yeah,
when people see you doing that, Pinchamayasana, one of the headstand, Shirshasana, one of the upside down postures, they think, oh, I'd never be able to do that, but it's actually things like the lotus that's Padmasana that's really tricky.
Yeah, it's one thing I've noticed an improvement. When I first started doing lotus, I found it very difficult on my feet and on my knees. My knees were certainly up around my ears practically, but now 9 months in, I have to say the knees are getting lower and lower and lower, and the back is getting straighter and straighter.
Exactly.
And it's a nice, if you can do it, it's a nice posture.
It's nice when you can do it, and it's really releasing the hips, because we hold so much in the hips and the legs as well. So often, it's getting the right position and using the right props, because you don't want to hurt yourself. So that's the thing with these sitting postures, that people think they look easy, but get the right props and then the body will open and relax and then that's when you're really getting somewhere. So
downward dog is a very popular one too in a lot of
popular
yoga.
And again really great variations, and you can do that for people who even there's lots of contraindications with that, blood pressure issues, or if people have problems with the wrists, or then there are so many different ways that you can do it. Hands in the chair, hands in the wall. So this downward dog is great because there's so many different ways to practice it as well. Yeah. And again, very restful for the heart, but really works the legs. You know? So usually releases the spine, so it does a lot of really good things. So that's another one that people love.
I have to say, it heats you up on a cold morning.
It does heat you up, yes, nice and warm. Yeah. So and I think we started talking about the pratyahara, the relaxation. So that's
turning inward.
Turning inward. So the pratyahara is such an essential part, and I think even if people go to classes that you're not doing meditation or you're not doing chanting, you're probably going to be doing the asana and the breath work and the relaxation. So the pratyahara would be the relaxation. So that is where the body really takes all that information and assimilates it. So all of the information that you've done from the class, it distributes that around the body, and that's what really changes you. So generally you'll be in shavasana, but again, if you're doing chair yoga, you might not be lying on the ground at that stage, you might be sitting in your chair. Or when I do pregnancy yoga, when people are in relaxation, they lie on their side. So there's always different ways. So when you're in that practice of pratyahara, and what happens is, the practice that I generally do is a body scanning type of relaxation. And the reason I love that is because obviously when you're in relaxation, it's guided, so you're giving the mind something to do. Sometimes you can have a visualization, but some people find it quite hard to visualise, and I'm one of them. I'm not that great at visualising, and then if you're lying there and you can't visualise, you're starting to get anxious again. Whereas anyone can think of bringing the awareness to their toe or their knee or their arm or whatever, and it's giving the mind something to do. Now, meanwhile, your body is entering the state that it does just before regular sleep. Oh. And this is where the neuroplasticity comes in, where your body actually makes the changes that you've just done from your practice. So that's why the relaxation is so important, is when you've learned something new, that's when those neural pathways in the brain are created, when you're actually in that state of relaxation.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. And of course it's lovely. Everyone loves doing it. Everyone loves it. At the end of class, oh, this is what I'm here for.
Yeah, it's a reward for all our hard work at that point.
It's a reward for all the hard work. Mm-hmm. But the other thing that we can do for pratyahara practice is chanting, of course, which, as you know, I love, and you knew I'd be talking about chanting because I love it so much. So yeah, in the class I always do a wee bit of chanting at the end, and we sometimes do the chanting as part of our practice of, the meditation, relaxation. So the thing about it I love is, one, we're working with the Sanskrit, so you're working with the breath, so it's a pranayama. You're relaxed, so it's a pratyahara, so that kind of, withdrawal of the senses. It's also a dharana. So when people talk about meditation also, often they're actually talking about dharana, which is a concentration technique. So something like chanting is also because you have to concentrate on the words, how it's chanted, how it's pronounced, the tune, all of that. So it really gets you into a lovely state of relaxation. And then if you want to even take that further, it can become a meditation. For example, when I was one of the people who love my yoga, as in the asana, the breathwork, the relaxation, I always really struggled with meditation. And I think a lot of, I had tried different types of meditation, but I think anytime I sat down, what will I do? I don't know, couldn't make my mind up. And then sitting there, the physical body just felt overwhelming. So for me, this is I think why I love the chanting so much. I started learning a mantra that I really enjoyed. It was a Ganapataye, it was a Ganesha mantra to remove obstacles. So again, there's a little bit of philosophy there. You're just opening yourself up to the universe, just saying, I'm not afraid for the universe to reveal what is right for me, which is also those around me in the greater good. I like that philosophy of, what is right for me. So I chanted this 108 times for a couple of years, every day.
108 times in a row.
I got myself a little mala beads, the lovely beads, and I chanted it. First of all, I listened to someone chanting it, someone lovely chanting it, and then I chanted it out loud 108 times. It used to take me about 20 odd minutes, and then I started just chanting it, mentally. I didn't say the words out loud. And over those couple of years, it actually taught me how to sit down and be quiet, and sit down for 20 minutes with a focus. And then now I do the chanting, but not really as a meditation. I, just do, more of a self-awareness type, more of awareness, just sitting, Vedic meditation now, where I just sit there. But definitely, I say it to so many people, if you can't sit in meditation and your mind is all over the place, if you feel that you're not able to sit and allow, because you don't want to stop the thoughts, that way it's not like you're trying to meditation, you're not trying to stop the thoughts, you're not trying to push anything down, you don't want to analyse, then I think it's a really good way to start is to do a bit of chanting, because it gives the mind something to do.
What language are you chanting in?
In Sanskrit.
Sanskrit.
Yeah. So
and is that a type of ancient Indian dialect?
Yeah, and it's a language of the scholars. So the texts that yoga would came from, the Vedas, they would all be in Sanskrit. So yeah, so when the philosophy, when this was handed down, it was handed down it was written, but it was handed down by word of mouth in a way of chanting. So that's why it's so specific, the way. And of course we sometimes do kirtan, which is a bit more fun, which has a bit of a tune and just a bit more jaunty. But I love the Vedic chanting because it's handed down in a very specific way, because it had to be, to make sure it was handed down in an accurate way. I think, in a similar way to, the traditional songs of in Ireland and, lots of cultures, the way knowledge was handed down was through song or mantra. So, and I think as well, because these things have been handed down for thousands of years, and there's also, really great messages of connection and of oneness and of love and of truth. The messages are so pure. It's like when we chant these things, it's like our nervous system, our soul, our body knows, our body knows that there's truth behind this.
Can you give me some of the translations in English of some of the chants you like?
I'm trying to think. Some of them are quite long. So the one that we're doing at the moment, we're doing a little chant at the moment. Purnamadav, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate. So it starts off this way, so I'll not do the whole thing, but that one, for example, means we start off as complete. We are complete. If you take away from complete, you still have complete. If you add to complete, you still have complete. And you're thinking, what does that mean? It means that no matter what happens to us in this world, in the body, in the physical body, in the mind, we are always at the very back of it, we are always pure consciousness. So we are always complete no matter what happens.
It's lovely.
So that's a lovely one. And then of course there are other ones. A lot of people would know the Gayatri mantra. It's very well known. Where people were looking at the sun and giving thanks for life and light, and when they refer to light, it always means truth. Light always means truth. So that's a nice loving kindness as well, loving kindness mantra as well. So
there's something that you say at the end of our relaxation, and it's based on a Sanskrit. And it's let us be excellent together, let us nourish and honour each other. I love that. I think it's beautiful.
And that teaching I would have got from working with my Sanskrit teacher, Shantala. So I would have done that in the past few years. And another lovely teacher I knew as well. So where it's like in yoga and in chanting, we're not trying to be perfect. We want to be excellent. It's not about perfection, it's about being excellent. And then in that one, that's in reference to one of the other chants that I do at the end, the Sahana Vavatu. So it's basically, let us work together with great energy, let us learn, let us be victorious, and let there be no hate between us. So it's a little version of that I would have got from my teacher. So
that's lovely.
It's lovely to just think that when we all gather together to practice, we're all energetically, we're all learning from each other in our practice. So I love that about teaching.
Wouldn't it be great if we had all our world leaders a compulsory course of chanting and yoga and meditation?
Exactly, yeah, it would be.
The world would be in a better shape, I'd say.
It definitely, I know definitely for me it's changed me for the better. I think definitely before yoga I would have been quite an anxious person. Yeah, and I thought that was a natural state of me being, but then you realise it's what you're doing, it's the thoughts that you're having, it's the food that you're eating, it's what you're doing with your life, and you think you're at effect, but in actual fact you can choose. Once you kind of get to know yourself a bit better, you realise, oh, I can change these things, I can change how I'm breathing, I can change how I'm, moving the body. And with practices like meditation, it gives you that little space, to be able to just feel more centered, really, and more, just to deal with what life it's the whole thing of with practice and with discipline comes freedom. I think for me, that's why I know it's going to be a lifelong practice, because I can see that the more I learn and the more I share and the more we talk and the more we can connect with each other, your life you feel freer and life feels more beautiful. And that's, I think, in my little Facebook page and different things like that, I always say I love to share the beauty of yoga and all the wonderful benefits it brings to your life, because to me, it just, I don't know, everything just does feel more beautiful when you're disciplined in your practice. So yeah.
So if somebody was looking for you, how would they find you?
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I've got a little Facebook page and an Instagram page, Yoga with Janette McDonald.
Yeah.
So just give me a buzz or send me a wee message. If anyone is not sure, give me a call and we can have a chat and see what class would suit you. But I always say, just come and try it and see how you get on.
Yeah.
Because different people are going to resonate with different teachers. There's so many great teachers out there, and you find one that suits, and basically you feel comfortable, and that you can chat about, am I doing this correctly? You want to feel relaxed with your teacher to be able to chat about your practice.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about, I can't do this, I can't do that. Like, it doesn't matter what level you are.
Not at all.
You can adjust with various props and blocks and cushions and blankets, and the whole posture can be changed and adapted. So you don't have to worry that everyone else is. Absolutely. Like, I know you're not going to be as good as me in the class. Sorry, folks, but... But it doesn't matter what level you're at, basically.
It does not matter. No, it doesn't matter what. I think just come and have fun and enjoy it. Because we all need a bit. We all need a bit of lightness in our lives, and it's just fun.
Yeah, I heard somebody say once, "You'll never regret a yoga class," and it is so true, because I float out of there every day.
I know. Because sometimes you're shattered and you're like, oh. You'll never say, I wish I hadn't done that. No.
That's so true. It's so true. So now to something less uplifting. As you know, I am a celebrant, and as well as nice, happy occasions like weddings and baby namings and all sorts of things. Also, I do funeral ceremonies as well. And so I ask all my guests this question on the Being Brilliant podcast. Have you thought about what kind of funeral that you'd like to have when that day comes years from now, or is that something you'd rather not think about?
Well, funny enough, I have actually thought about this. Obviously, it's not going to be for a long, long time. Basically, there's a song I have loved ever since I can remember, and a lot of people will love this song called O Mio Babino Caro. So, and it's Puccini. So I love that song. Absolutely love it. And no matter what's happening, if I hear that song, I just, it makes me feel so emotional. I love it. It's so beautiful. I really love that. So I always think, I'll need to tell someone, but now I've told all of you, so somebody's going to know that I like O Mio Babino Caro. And then I also think, I love this song and I think it's so appropriate, is Nobody's Fault But Mine by Nina Simone. Love that. So check that out, everyone.
She's got a beautiful voice.
Beautiful, and it really, I think both of those, the Mio Babino Caro's the opera, and they're both singers, the type of singing that I love that really touches the heart. It really, you can feel it in the soul. Yeah. I think opera, you feel it in the soul, and Nina Simone, absolutely feel it in the soul, and the words are spectacular, aren't they?
What do they mean to you, those words? If I die and my soul be lost, nobody's fault but mine. What does that mean to you?
Well, I think that this is why I love it so much. I think we are all given a chance in life to come and grow and be the best we can and evolve and do as much as we can while we're here. So I think if we die, we feel, I haven't done what I want to do, then yeah, it's on you. So I just think to myself, yeah, no one's here to do it for you. You're here to grow and evolve and be the best you can be. So that's what it means to me.
That's lovely. That's lovely. Church or civil?
Oh, civil.
Yeah.
Yeah, civil. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, you know where I am.
Oh, yes.
Was there anything else you wanted to say about yoga?
I don't think so. As you know, I can talk all day about yoga, and we could probably talk for another half hour, but I think that's all. I think we've covered a good few things, and I think, if you've never tried it and you want to give it a go, you won't regret it. It's a beautiful practice, and as I say, I like, it's something you can study your whole life and practice your whole life, all inclusive. So thank you so
Janette,
much.
Namaste, Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you.
A pleasure. Thank you.